Hey, what's up? Welcome to another video. Today we're looking at quite a difficult topic of, do I regret studying music? Now, I studied music for 4 years between the ages of 18 and 22. That was 3 years as a degree, and then I did 1 year as a master's afterwards. This was all at university in the United Kingdom. I see a lot of debate online about the pros and cons of studying music instead of either keeping it as a hobby or just straight up pursuing it. So I'd like to really unravel those today and give you my perspective of why I thought it was a really great thing to do. So the first thing we're going to look at is, what did I actually gain from studying music? So for me personally, the big push of studying music was the fact that it was just straight up focus time of me doing what I loved doing, as opposed to, say, having music as a hobby or just trying to kind of work a job and doing a bit of music on the side. I know the fact that I was really focusing on it really pushed me to pursue it far more than if I just kept it as something different. I think a wonderful thing about studying music is you are suddenly around so many like-minded people. Everyone's there bringing their own talents, but are all ultimately pushing for that same thing. And it creates this wonderful environment, which ultimately I probably wouldn't have found anywhere else. Now, I was primarily studying drums, but I was around other musicians studying other instruments as well. And I put myself in good situations, and I definitely had a lot of immediate opportunities as a result of that. I was also someone who would try to take opportunities as much as possible when they came, and that was a great part of being around like-minded people. Something I absolutely loved whilst I was studying was I was having really advanced drum tuition on a weekly basis, which made me such a better player, and I really would not have had that opportunity otherwise. So for me, that was such a huge deal breaker as well. And I think the final big gain of what I got from studying music at university was the fact that I absolutely loved it. Every single day was a joy, man. Like, I was waking up and I was playing drums. I mean, this was like the perfect scenario for me. You know, I couldn't ask for anything more than that. And I think the reality was, if I was studying something different, I just wouldn't have felt that way. So for me, it was almost a no-brainer. The second big topic I'd like to look at is ultimately a hypothetical situation, and that is, would I have been fine if I had not have studied music? So the ultimate reality is, yes, of course I would have been absolutely fine. But if I'm going to look at all those things I've already said, well, I would have lacked that. So if I was going to study something different, then I wouldn't have had everything just previously mentioned. Although that would then lead to the question of, what would I study otherwise? And quite frankly, I have no idea what that answer would be. I really don't know. And I guess I'm one of those people who just was only ever going to study music or just not study anything. Now, I know this is quite a personal situation, but a huge deal breaker for me was being able to move out of my parents' house at age 18 and no longer be a financial burden to them. That was really huge. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to do that had I have just gone into work, especially for my personal living circumstance and where I was living in that moment. The third topic I'd like to address is, do I have any regrets about my time when I was studying music? This might be an interesting one for people who are thinking about going and thinking about making certain decisions whilst they're there. Now, I would love to be a person who would just sort of say, do you know what, man, I've got no regrets. And I've thought quite methodically about this, and I've come up with two kind of scenarios here. So the first thing I would say is that I would probably regret not playing as much as I could have done. Don't get me wrong, I was practicing a lot, but as I look back at that time, the amount of time I actually had to practice, I could have done more, and I know I would have been reaping the rewards of that now had I have done that. What I was spending quite a lot of time doing was trying to create musical opportunities with other people. Now, don't get me wrong, these have been great experiences, and I'm very grateful for everything that I've been involved in. But actually, when I look back now, say coming up to 10 years later, the reality is a lot of those situations have kind of ended, and the one thing that I'm still really doing is playing drums. And I know now that had I practiced more, well, I would still be seeing that in action today. Don't get me wrong though, I definitely put in a lot of hours of practice. For topic 4, what if I want to do something different in the future? Ah man, I've got a music degree. What am I going to do with that? Well, the reality is, if I want to do something different, I'll just do something different. You know, I think people respect the fact that you have a degree, in my case a master's as well. You know, okay, it might be in music, which might not be a field I want to work in the future, say, hypothetically, but actually, that's okay. I've got that degree. You can always do conversion courses. There are opportunities left, right, and centre. And I think something you learn from pursuing music is the fact that a lot of opportunities come up from who you know. And I've learned that in my life, and I know I would take that and put that into something different if I wanted to. Although, ultimately, as it stands, I don't want to. Okay, topic 5 is a big one, and people don't talk about it enough in my opinion, and that is, what about the massive debt that I now carry? Yeah, I appreciate, man, if you didn't study music, if you didn't study anything, then you're not gonna have those huge university debts. I know everyone's different. For me personally, yes, I do still have university debt, but you know, it doesn't really impact me on a day-to-day at all. Obviously, you have to earn a certain amount before you start paying it off anyway. And the other thing is, it eventually just gets written off anyway. So it's only kind of like there in the meta world. It's not impacting me hugely. It's not a huge weight on my shoulders. I don't really think about it, if I'm honest. So the very last question then, to round it up, is would I recommend it to you? I mean, everyone's different. You know, my interest in, say, playing drums won't necessarily be at the same level of your interest in playing drums or studying music or whatever it might be. But if I'm gonna end on one thing and give one huge piece of advice, that would be that I would genuinely and wholeheartedly recommend anyone to study something that they enjoy, providing it's not detrimental to the world. So on that note, I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And let me know in the comments if I've missed anything out, or if you have any questions and you want to discuss it further. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching, and peace. See you later.